Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. And in our top stories today from Mediaite, how is it possible? CNN's Harry Enten completely floored by slew of horrible polls for Democrats. That's right. The party that has the media as its extension, as its mouthpiece, is still struggling. You have the entirety, ladies and gentlemen, of the establishment media behind them. And this may also, of course, explain why they lost the 2024 election. And that is because, of course, that they kept targeting Donald Trump for this and Donald Trump for that instead of focusing on all Americans, right? They went with a checkbox DEI, intersectionality, identitarianism mindset and completely isolated and alienated other people so that they could promote an ideology and a philosophy of worldview that is not popular with people. And we've already seen the polling on that. CNN's Harry Enten marveled at Democrats' dismal polling during a Monday morning segment with anchor Kate Baldwin. The latter kicked off said segment on CNN's News Central by asking Enten which party is faring better when it comes to its economic message. Now this is just fascinating and I wanted to share it with you.
Americans are sending a message, and new CNN polling showing that neither Republicans nor Democrats are winning a clear majority of Americans right now when it comes to the economy. So what to do about that and what is inside these numbers and what can be learned from it? CNN's Harry Enten is looking into that. When it comes to what the message really is, I mean, which party's faring any better?
Yeah, you would think after all of the waves, Kate Baldwin, after the last few months, the first 5 months of the Donald Trump presidency, right, the first 4 months of the Donald Trump presidency, that you expect that Democrats would have this massive lead on the economy. It ain't so. It ain't so. The party that is closest to your economic views, in November of 2023, it was the Republicans by 11 points. Now it's still within that range, still within that margin of error. Plus 8-point advantage for the Republican Party. How is that possible, Democrats? How is that possible after all the recession fears, after the stock market's been doing all of this, after all the tariffs that Americans are against, and Republicans still hold an 8-point lead on the economy? Are you kidding me?
This is new CNN polling.
Yes.
How is that, when we look for trends, how is that trending with other data that you're pulling in?
Yeah, if it was just this one CNN poll, that would be one thing. But take a look at Reuters Ipsos. What do we see here? Party with a better economic plan. Well, in May of 2024, just before Donald Trump was reelected president, Republicans had a 9-point advantage. Look at where we are now in May of 2025. The advantage actually went up by 3 points. Now Republicans have a 12-point advantage when it comes to the party with a better economic plan. And again, this is after months of supposed economic uncertainty in which the stock market's been going bonkers, in which the tariff wars that Americans are against have been going on. And yet, despite all of that, the Democrats are down by 12 points on the economy. This speaks to Democratic problems on the economy better than basically anything that you could possibly look at. The Republicans still hold an advantage on the all-important key issue of the day. And that is the reason why, even if Donald Trump's approval ratings are a little bit lower than they used to be, Republicans are not out of the ballgame because they still have a clear advantage on the economy, whether you look at CNN's polls or whether you look at the Ipsos poll right here, in which they have a 12-point advantage on the economy, Kate.
And also in the CNN data, it does show that Republicans are gaining ground in an area that is key relating to all of this, which is when it comes to the middle class.
Yeah. You know, historically speaking, which is the party of the middle class has been a huge advantage for Democrats. I have polling from NBC going all the way back since 1989 when Democrats had a 23-point advantage. 2016, a 17-point advantage. But by this decade, we already started seeing declines back in 2022 where you saw that Democrats led, but only by 4 points, well within the margin of error. And now in our latest CNN poll among registered voters, which is the party of the middle class, it is tied. This, I think, speaks to Democratic ills more than anything else. They have traditionally been the party of the middle class. No more. Donald Trump and the Republican Party have taken that mantle away, and now a key advantage for Democrats historically has gone adios amigos, and now there is no party that is the party of the middle class. Republicans have completely closed the gap, Kate.
All right. There's a lot of messages and a lot to be learned from these numbers and this.
There is indeed, and that is because the Democrats went DEI. They went full-on identitarian. They went full-on just woke, basically, is probably the simplest way to put it. I was going to say, identitarianism and intersectionality and all the other particular phraseologies and nomenclatures and phrasings and wordings and definitions and all the stuff that they use. But this is a huge problem. And it didn't really stop there because just the day before we saw this polling.
How Americans sort of see the parties. Which party is better described as the party with strong leaders? Look at this.
Wow.
16% of Americans say Democrats, 40% say that of the Republican Party. Now, overall, no party's doing great. Lots of Americans say neither of these qualities apply to either party. But look at how much worse off the Democrats are. A party that gets things done. Only 19% of Americans say that about the Democrats. 36% say it about the Republicans. In fact, the only place that the Democrats are numerically ahead, party of the middle class, this is basically a tie, though.
Yeah.
34% say that of Democrats.
As we just saw with Harry Enten, as it's essentially a tie right there, right?
32% say that of Republicans. But this, I think, is the most fascinating. How do partisans talk about their own party? Right? So among Democrats and Democratic leaners, 32% say Democrats are the party with strong leaders. I mean, of their own kind, right? 82% of Republican leaders say that about the GOP. Only 41% of Democrats say they're the party that gets things done of their own kind. And I will just say, 51%, Manu, a majority of Democratic and Democratic leaners say neither party gets the party that gets things done attribute. Imagine that's the project that Democrats are working on.
Yeah, and beyond the issues here, there's some structural problems with the Democrats as well.
There are. And again, this is where we ended up.
Right, and they're not going to talk about it because the structural problems and the problems of the Democrats is they went in one direction. They went with a checkbox attitude towards Americans. They wanted to, I guess, pick out certain minority groups. And again, I'm not suggesting or implying that these individuals should not be treated fairly or they should be isolated and alienated for their ideologies, philosophies, and worldviews. I'm simply saying that we're America, right? We're over 300 million people. We're not a select group of people. But for the purposes of the elites, mainly the elites, they want to look self-righteous. They want to look self-important, right? They are self-important. They want to look self-righteous. And they want to look like they have all the answers to everything. And they just went after this ideology of, well, we'll treat like the minorities. And I mean this not as in race or other, but just as in the ideology, philosophy, and worldview of certain minority groups of individuals and their mindsets. And this is the extraordinary element of it all, is it not, ladies and gentlemen? The Democrats are suffering because they made very poor decisions. And the thing is, they don't learn from their lessons. They don't learn from their mistakes. And this is going to continue to be a problem if they can't turn these numbers around. And I'm suggesting that they should. I'm just simply showing you that despite what you hear and what they say, it's a different story when it comes to the reality of the people, just like when it came to the victory of Donald Trump that they probably were not expecting at all. Because they had the full weight. They spent 8 years demonizing Donald Trump. And I always ask them, how'd that work out for you guys? But nonetheless, guys, I want to thank you for all of your support across New Tech. That's BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and the comments. All these things are critically important. And, of course, if you want to help further, down below I have my affiliate marketing links. That's to Amazon as well as to my VPN Trust Zone. You guys can avail yourselves of that information. Your privacy is protected when you do use Amazon, if you guys want to use that as your landing page to place your orders and so forth. But, ladies and gentlemen, it is extraordinary. But, by all means, let me know down in the comments section. Do you not see? I mean, does this seem right to you that the Democrats are having these troubles and difficulties, despite the fact of what they try to say on the media or what they try to say about themselves? It's quite extraordinary, in my opinion. But nonetheless, guys, appearing there on the screen for all of you watching on YouTube, that would be the channel icon. You guys can click on that to subscribe, as well as to select notification. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.